Track 2. Thank you, Carol and Peter, and it's Chris and John now to continue. Diamond couple Ted and Audrey Coleman are celebrating 60 years of marriage today. The couple from Wellingborough met in 1949 on a blind date. Mr. Coleman, 83, a former Wellingborough firefighter, said he and Mrs. Coleman, 81, clicked straight away. They married at the Great Park Street Methodist Church in Wellingborough, and they went on to have 2 sons, Terry, who is now 58, and David, who is now 51. Mr. Coleman is also a former borough councillor serving the Croyland ward from 1976 to 2003. He was mayor of Wellingborough twice, in 1986 and 1997, and in 2003 he was made an MBE for his services to the community and was given the freedom of the borough of Wellingborough as an honorary freeman. He said, "It's a marvellous milestone, and the family have organised a party at a hotel in Dartmoor this weekend to celebrate. I'm very proud that we have been married for 60 years. It is a long time, and we all have our ups and downs, but we have a good understanding between the two of us."
Spotting a brightly coloured damselfly hovering around the long grasses at Summerlees Nature Reserve near Great Doddington, photographer David Harris drops to his knees to take some quick snaps in the fragment of time allowed by such a rapidly moving insect. Sure enough, within a minute, something attracts the delicate creature's attention, and off it goes. Whereas most keen wildlife photographers may well give subtle chase, following the damselfly around to create another photographic opportunity, David's need for a wheelchair makes it difficult to take such actions. He has come prepared, however, wearing gardening knee pads, but his next move is to shift himself painfully back into his chair, hoping for another opportunity to pass by soon. And anyone who has seen the beautiful images captured by David will be in no doubt that those opportunities do arise for the 56-year-old. Although he suffers from fibromyalgia, a condition which causes widespread pain throughout the muscles and joints, and which on some days leaves him unable to walk, he perseveres with his photographic talents whenever possible. David of Northampton, who first took up photography at the age of 12, said, "You do have to have a very different understanding of what you are capable of. Getting around places like Summerlees is sometimes a challenge, but I manage. With fibromyalgia, there are up and down days, but getting out and about and having a push around here 2 or 3 times a week really helps my muscles and is therapeutic." Despite David's photographic talents, he is an amateur but has won competitions, held an exhibition in 2008, and each year creates a calendar of his work. David now uses a Nikon D200 for his photography, but also possesses a D70 converted for infrared images, and his next ambitious project is to create a portfolio of infrared photos which he hopes may one day be published in a book. And what does he plan to photograph? None other than 210 churches in Northamptonshire. He said, "Buildings have always held a fascination for me. Churches, architecture, and anything that looks really unusual." He continued, "When I moved to Northampton, I wanted to see Earl's Barton, as when I was a kid, we were in Daventry before moving to Shropshire, and I visited Earl's Barton Church. I wanted to go back and have a look to see if I had remembered it properly. I wondered what it would look like in infrared. I set the camera up, was there for an hour, and got a reasonable photo of this splendid building. The effect is that blue skies will turn black, clouds will stay white, and green grass will go white. It is something you might try to fake in Photoshop." But perhaps David's first love in photography is capturing images of damselflies and dragonflies. He said, "I love them. I think they are wonderful creatures. You get 5 species of damselfly here at Summerlees, and the one you see the least of here is the large red. I have always photographed them, but in the past didn't have the lens to do the close-up work. Now the proud possessor of a Tamron 90mm lens, David has taken some impressive images capturing microscopic details on the insects' wings and bodies. He said, "One of my favourites is the hairy dragonfly, and a super close-up I did of his eye. I think it is fab. The way to approach them is carefully and quietly. They are as sensitive to vibration as to changes in light. I often pre-focus the lens, as the noise of the camera is enough to scare the damselfly." To see more of David's work, log on to www.photography-cafe.com.
Farmers have revealed they could lose half of their yield this year after Northamptonshire was declared to be suffering a drought. The county has experienced its driest spring since 1910, and the Environment Agency, as well as the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, has declared that the county is officially experiencing a drought. Members of the public are being urged to use water as effectively as possible, and farmers are worried the lack of rain could see them lose thousands of pounds worth of crops. Tim Hankins of Pear Tree Farm in Oldwinkle farms cattle and arable land. He said, "People are saying we could lose around 50% of our yield this year, which for me is about 200 tonnes of wheat. That would mean, to me, losing about £20,000, so we're really hoping for rain this weekend. The drought means we have to be even more careful with the water than ever before." John Hilsden of Harrodon Farms grows oilseed rape, wheat and protein beans. He said, "April and May were the main growing seasons, and this is when we saw the least rain. Yields will definitely be down because of this." The bad weather has also affected smaller food growers. Rushden Allotments Society Secretary Julie Kinsella said, "We're having to spend money on getting new water taps. The ground is rock solid, and this is making growing fruit and vegetables extremely difficult. We really need some rain." Despite the county experiencing a drought, Anglian Water has reassured homeowners that their supplies will not be affected. A spokesman for the water company said, "The drought status is more for the farmers and just acts as a warning to homeowners that we should conserve water. There is not a restriction for homeowners."
Celebrations will be held across the north of the county this weekend to mark the Royal British Legion's 90th anniversary. A 1940s party is being held and a British Legion march is taking place at Wicksteed Park in Kettering on Saturday morning before a memorial service takes place at midday. More than 50 military vehicles will also be at the park, and a historical reenactment will take place through the day. In Mears Ashby on Saturday morning, residents will be pulling a Second World War ambulance through the village to raise money for the British Legion. They have already raised almost £300 so far. The Rushden branch of the British Legion is holding a cream tea poppy party on Saturday to raise money towards the 90th anniversary fundraising effort. The event is being held from 3:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. at St Peter's Church Hall in Midland Road, Rushden. Tickets are £5 from the Evening Telegraph office in High Street, Rushden, T.E. Brown Butchers or Thingy Me Jigs in Rushden, and in Higham Ferris at the Working Men's Club and La Bella Ladies Boutique. People are invited to call in to Eat and Enjoy Coffee Shop in Eaton Walk, Rushden on Sunday from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. as the shop is supporting the fundraising appeal. Rushden Mayor Janet Pinnock is also hosting a free poppy tea garden party in the walled garden of Rushden Park Hall on Sunday from 3 p.m. Major Jake Baker, spokesman for the Rushden branch of the Legion, said, "Almost 1 in 6 people in the UK has a direct service connection. Either they are currently serving, previously served, or have a relative within the wider family who served in the Royal Navy, Army or Royal Air Force. The British Legion wants to get everyone involved in the celebrations. We've organised activities this weekend, so come along and celebrate with us.
Scientists, entrepreneurs and media personalities have been honoured in the Queen's annual birthday honours list. A whole host of inspirational people from Northamptonshire have been recognised and will receive knighthoods, CBEs, OBEs and MBEs from Her Royal Highness later this year. Peter Simpson, who has helped set up 3 very successful schools in the county, will receive a knighthood for his services to education. The executive principal of the Brook Western Partnership has orchestrated the formation of the Brook Western Academy in Corby, Kettering, Science Academy and Corby Business Academy. He said, "I was astonished when I had the letter through the post. It was difficult to believe, and I'm still not really settled in. There are some people who are individually very talented, like musicians and actors, who are honoured for their personal performance. For me, I think I've been really fortunate to work with some extremely good people who have helped me develop education in the area. It's hard to say what I'm most proud of, but it's probably what I've been able to do for others." Forensic expert Dr. John Bond is Scientific Support Manager at Northamptonshire Police and is being awarded an OBE for his services. Dr. Bond, who has worked at the force for 18 years, said receiving the award would be one of the best days of his life. He said, "I was absolutely overwhelmed when I got the letter. I didn't in any way expect it, and it is really, really gratifying that it not only recognises the work I have done in forensic science, but also the contribution I am proud to have made to Northamptonshire Police." Also honoured in the list will be Christopher Jones, who is being given an MBE for his service to agriculture. Mr. Jones, a long-standing member of the Agricultural Christian Fellowship, helped set up the Farm Crisis Network in 1995 to aid farming people during periods of financial hardship, stress and anxiety.
Elderly people who suffer falls will be able to get treatment closer to home thanks to a £27,000 donation from a charitable trust. The Florence Jessie Cleaver Trust, set up a few years ago after the death of Florence Jessie Cleaver from Rothwell, has bought Kettering General Hospital a high-tech tilt table used to identify the cause of unexplained faints and falls. Dr. Ravi Joshi, consultant in elderly medicine at the hospital, said, "We are very grateful to the Florence Jessie Cleaver Trust for this timely gift. The equipment is used to identify the cause of unexplained faints and falls mostly, but not exclusively, in elderly people. Until now, patients had to travel to Leicester, which is often difficult, upsetting and disruptive for them and their families. With this test available locally, we can provide better health services for the local population closer to home. The patient is first connected to an ECG and real-time blood pressure monitor. They then get on the tilt table, where they are carefully strapped into place to prevent any possibility of a fall. The table then slowly tilts upwards until the patient is practically in a standing position. This enables their physiological responses to standing still to be tested over a period of time without the danger of them actually fainting and falling over. Robert Eden, a trustee of the Trust, made the donation to Dr. Joshi, who will conduct the tilt clinic and care of the elderly service manager Carla Campbell Barker. The £27,875 table will be used in the hospital's cardiac investigation unit. Mr. Eden said, "Our trust is there to make donations to good causes, which promote the well-being of or benefit the lives of older people living in Rothwell, Desborough or Kettering area." Christina Kelly, the hospital's fundraising officer, said, "We are delighted that the Trust generously funded the tilt table and would like to thank them for their support. The table will make an enormous difference to the local community, particularly the elderly. To contact the Trust, email cleavertrust@btinternet.com.